Hey, my name's Sam, welcome back to West Coast Minis and Merry Christmas everywhere. Given it is this time of year, there's no better kind of army to paint than dwarves. And also, with it being winter and Christmas, let's get cozy. Let's get away from the grimdark and back to the kind of things that made us want to start the hobby. For me, it was this clip here. Now, I know it's not Warhammer, I know it's Warcraft, but this clip of the dwarf at the start of the World of Warcraft, kind of classic, original, way back when in vanilla when I was a kid, I was just very, very keen on dwarves from this moment. And I don't know about you, but it just makes me think of winter, like an idealised winter. Now, to ideally capture our mountain dwarves walking around, I've got the Highland Miniatures Rangers, which are awesome models. Genuinely some of the best models that I think Raymond and the team have done. In terms of scaling, I wanted to work off this Dwarf Slayer, which I see as the future dwarf scale. And what that means is it's 88% to print these. Just have a look at these models. They are genuinely fantastic, and the cloaks are just beautiful. I suppose it's a good question as why do we want dwarves with cloaks? You know, why is that important? And the reason for that is, again, focusing on our very cozy theme that we're going after, I want to really grab that green that we know and love from the Mountaineers of Dunmurra. Well, there you go, a really prominent green that any WoW nerd can recognise. I love it, they're proper iconic. One point though, they're quite lime in their green, and I really want to take it away from the green that I've done for my goblins, so let's get our paintbrush out and go for it. Now, the first paint we're going to use is Castellan Green, a more military paint than a cozy one, but it gives us a really good base. On basing, I've used a really dark brown to base the model. That helps with a lot of the dark areas more generally, but also means going to make the leather a lot quicker. With dwarves, there is a lot of leather on these models. So with the Castellan Green, what I recommend is just a full covering of the entire cloak. You don't really want to be leaving any brown parts for shading. The Castellan's going to do that, so just make sure that you're giving a good, even coverage over the whole cloak. Once done, it should look like this. Now, I'm really thinking of the Fellowship of the Ring at this point, but this is going to be the end result, so keep going. So for the next step, we're going to take our Castellan Green and we're going to mix it with Greenskin. Warboss Green by Citadel should be able to have roughly the same effect. Now we're going to be mixing this 50-50. Mixing generally is going to be the theme of this video, to be honest. Just to break colours up as we kind of go through it, and really kind of enables an easier blend that you could achieve rather than, and it's cheaper than purchasing every single different paint under the sun. I really recommend everyone kind of gets used to mixing, and you know, with models, just try it, try something new if this is new to you. Now, this might seem quite striking initially, however, as it dries, a lot of that kind of colour pigmentation will reduce, so just trust the process really. Like I say, 50-50 initially. Generally, if you want to kind of, with mixing, you've got that freedom, so you could paint 75% your base colour and bracket upwards just a lot slower. Just depends on how confident you're feeling, because you don't want to go too bold and mess your mini up and have to start again. One of the other things that I'll note is the kind of way that I'm going about this. I'm trying to do brush strokes in a way that I would expect the light to cover the model. So rather than kind of taking a approach where we would just get like null oil and cover the model in there, and then whatever gets hit with the darkest amounts of Nuln Oil. Well, that's the shade now, hurrah. No, I'm trying to kind of look at the model from above and think, where would the light hit? And then from there, with the brush strokes, they're quite short, just so that as the paint dries, it will make the similar effect as cloth. Just short brush strokes in similar directions. Now, apologies for whittering on. I just really wanted to show you how I do the entire process and not just give a snippet of it. So as you can see, really short brushes, just going over those parts of the model. Plenty of water on the in the mix as well, just so that I'm not clogging it and really messing up the texture of the model. If we're ready, let's have a look at what this looks like completed. Now you can already see that once dry, a lot of that kind of strong colour's gone a little bit, especially when compared to our final model. So a bit of Vallejo Goblin Green, and again, with the mixture that we've already got, I'm going to go 50-50, so 50% Goblin Green, 50% of the original mixture. Make sure that's nice and wet on the brush and it's not going to absolutely overload the model. And then we're going to carry on just doing really short darting strokes all over the cloak, really focusing on where we think the light is going to hit the model. Now there's no requirement for any inks or any washes for this kind of method. The shadowing will just kind of start to appear naturally because we're going to be less inclined to hit certain areas. Clearly, in a similar manner to if we were dry brushing, as we go up and up the paints and get lighter and lighter, we're going to apply it to an ever so smaller and smaller area. This just allows the overall richness of everything that we've done to kind of show through, and it gives a good variety, which is perfect. It's perfect for kind of cloaks, even skin, which we'll go into next. Just really working it up nice and gradually. Okay, let's just slow it down and zoom in so we can see how it's all coming together. As you can see, those short strokes have a real effect. For our final step, we're not going to do any mixing, we're just going to go 100% Goblin Green now, as in the Vallejo Goblin Green. Other paints of that same name are available. However, this particular brand gives a really striking limey green that matches the cloaks of the Rangers of Dunmore. So this is exactly what we wanted. You'll note as I'm doing it, again I'm keeping to those short strokes, predominantly in the same direction, but I'm not going too thick with this. This is quite watered down, and I'm making sure that I really preserve the shadow that I've kind of generated before, and as it is watered down, and as you've seen thus far, when it dries, that kind of all the underpaint underneath it will be showing through as well. So this is a highlight. You can see that I am edge highlighting. However, generally the focus is just from above the model, what will catch the light. Really kind of focusing on what's going to catch the light, and with that as a goal, that will reduce the amount that I'm painting over all of my shadows, etc. So it gives a really nice finish, and this is the closest that I could come to replicating the Dunmore Rangers from World of Warcraft. any further ado, let's have a look at the finished article. A really strong green that shows off as, yes, a bit of a camo cloak, but at the same time it's got limey textures that match that kind of cozy, wintry theme of those Rangers. Where skin tones are concerned, I went for the Vallejo warm skin tone set. That goes all the way from succubus skin through Athena skin, rosy flesh and pale flesh. And it gave us, well, this dwarf here, so let's get into it. Start off with a base coat of succubus skin. From there, just to manage the model a bit more generally, I used Steel Legion Drab. Now, this is important because a lot of areas that touch the skin also touch clothing, etc. So use a bit of Steel Legion Drab to go over any elements that are going to be cloth, or also any elements that are going to be leather. Just really important to get this done now, because you don't want to get a perfect skin shade all over and then get a bit messy while putting his clothes on and cover your skin in brown. Once done, we're going to grab Athena skin, which is the next lightest after succubus, and we're just going to kind of go over the key areas of the model. Get the nose, get the head, get the cheeks, get the hands. At this point, we're not like kind of working towards tendons or just highlights, but we are looking to keep succubus skin in the depths as the shadow. Moving up one to rosy flesh. Again, all of these paints are 100%. For this one, we are just kind of hammering those highlights, hitting the tendons on the hands and the fingers. From there, you may want to take pale flesh and just get the real kind of corners of the fingers and nose, but that's up to you. Another thing that you could do if you want to get that kind of drunk dwarf effect is, if you've got like a red wash, just pour that all over the nose and it will give like a red rosy nose. With the skin done, we can move on to the cloth. The first colour that I'm going to use on top of the Steel Legion is Baneblade Brown. This just never so lighter paint. Once done with that, I'm going to move on to Rakarth Flesh and really just kind of hammer any of the highlights that the light would be facing towards the model. I'll leave any of the areas that would be in the dark, like under the arm, etc., because that will represent shadow. Areas of leather which have previously been left as Steel Legion Brown are just going to get a covering in Garagax Sewer. So this is a contrast paint. The reason why I like to use this, not only is it a really nice kind of rich tone, but as a contrast paint it leaves a ever so slight gloss effect, which looks quite good for the leather, looks almost polished. I'm also going for this effect on the crossbow twine, which is also going to get highlights from Rakarth Flesh. Where metals are concerned, I'm going to be using trusty Leadbelcher on everything, like literally everything. If it's metal, I'm using Leadbelcher. I'm then going to break out in two ways. So if it is, you know, metallic, like iron metallics, then it's Nuln-Oil with a little bit of Iron Breaker on top of it. However, if we're going into kind of coppers and golds, I'm going to use a different method. So the Leadbelcher will be the base. I'll then cover it in again Garagax Sewer, just to reduce the amount of paints we're using. This will give it a really good kind of but dark base to make it into copper, like you can see here. I'll then use Brass Scorpion just to kind of bring that up, because if anyone's going to polish their metal, it will be the Dwarves. And then once I'm done with that, Retributor Armour, just as a bit of a highlight to really bring out the shine. These guys love gold. Next, let's be brave. Let's move on to the eyes. So what I do is get a little bit of Chaos Black and really just push it into, with my thinnest brush that I've got, into the eyes. So I'm not going for a white dot and then try and do a black iris. Like, let's get away from that. This is the easiest way that I've managed to do it without my paint job suddenly becoming dog water. So yeah, once you're happy that you've got the black in place, you can then do a white dot either side. I'm not good enough to film this while doing it. Unfortunately, I need to be so focused while doing this that I need to wear the night goggles from Jurassic Park. Finally, on the base, I figured I'd try something new, so I tried pulling away the model from the tiles. which I previously superglued or pushed on. This had some mixed and often disastrous consequences. Nothing that I wasn't able to fix with more superglue, but it's worth giving it a go. With the model detached, it's a lot easier to do the base, so it's grey paint on the cobblestones, nice and simple, and then fill the gaps with instant filler, and that kind of gives a really good snow effect that just works. With that all said and done, let's have a look at the final product. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with these. They are just as cozy as I'd like them to be. The greens come out exactly how I wanted on the cloak. To be honest, probably about 2/3 of this video are just long form videos of me painting a green cloak, but I'm pretty comfortable with that because that's the one thing that I really didn't know how to do when I started this video, so I'm really proud of how it's come out. So hopefully you've learned something from the way that I've done that. Likewise, you could follow this same method generally for painting the blue of Karaz Akarak or the red of Karat Kadrin. Either way, I'm really happy. These guys look great. Now, I didn't cover beards in this video, but that's alright because I'm going to do it in the next one. So in the next video, I am finally going to be painting up my 3D printed Battle for Skull Pass set, so you can look forward to that. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and a comment, and if you want to see more, then subscribe. Plenty more to come. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.